Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to your Friday Roundtable.
We didn't come this far just to come this far.
We want to be legendary.
Today's going to be a little bit different. We're obviously going to go over a little bit of review of all the vital information that's available to you at InsideTexas.com. We recommend that you go check that out. We are going to be running the promo IT1, which is going to get you 2 months for $1 American. So it's a great deal. That's going to get you a nice taste of how the season is going to go. So we hope you check in on that, and it will be a great opportunity for you to get a chance to read what these guys are writing and join the community there. Today I'm joined by, we've got Eric, Ian, Paul, and hopefully we'll have Justin joining us soon. But this week we are playing an opponent. The word transition has come up quite a bit. I think we're being very kind to Jeff Traylor because we like Jeff. And that's basically where he's at right now. Jeff is a good coach, and he's in a position right now that Paul has alluded to earlier in previous videos, that a lot of his team, because he recruits really well, has been lost to the portal. A lot of talent has been lost to the portal. So we're going to talk a little bit about Jeff today and get into our picks. So if you don't mind, we'll start with you, Paul. Like, what are some of the things that you want to look for or see in this particular game, and then we can just transition over to basically everybody, because I think you're right. I think we should just have a nice chat today about what's happening with UTSA.
Yeah, they're finding themselves at a bit of a crossroads. Traylor is 40-15 at UTSA. I mean, that's incredibly successful at the G5 level, considering how new that program is and some of the currents they have to battle against in the state of Texas to find recruits and find players. Unfortunately, as you said, they have lost guys to the portal. One of them is starting for the University of Texas against his old team, and he happened to be the AAC Defensive Player of the Year for the Roadrunners last year. And that's Trey Moore. They also lost Cam Alexander to Oregon. He's in their cornerback rotation. They've still got some guys. They've got a guy named Brandon Brown, that defensive tackle, who would play for us. He'd probably be our number 3 tackle. He was a transfer from Tulane. He started 36 games for him. Big, strong guy, hard to move, not really a pass rusher. That's the best guy on their defense. Everything else is in transition. So everyone talked about losing Frank Harris, which understandably, Dr. Harris has been around forever. But that guy was 39-13 as a starter at 52 games. His counterpart, who also wore number 0, and at UTSA, the numbers 1, 0, and 2 have special significance to them as team leaders. The other was Rashad Wisdom, who was the safety, started 54 games for them. Those guys are gone. And there's a big leadership void in this program. Traylor, I think, will eventually reload it and get it going. But you really saw that leadership deficit in San Marcos last week. They got blown out 49-10, 35-3 at halftime. I promise you, UTSA is not that far behind Texas State in pure talent. But they lost by 39 for a reason. And that's because they don't have any clear identity. They don't have clear leadership. Coming into the year, they were supposed to be a ground-based physical team. And they were going to run Rocco Griffin and this trio of running backs that they have. But it's not working out. They're averaging 2.3 yards per carry to the running back, 79 yards rushing per game. So now they're having to put the ball in the hands of a quarterback in Owen McCown, who is not proven as reliable as Frank Harris. Used to be when UTSA couldn't run the ball and pound an inferior G5 opponent, they'd spread it out and let Frank Harris cook, both with his arm and his leg. They can't do that anymore. They got a big problem, and they've got to solve some stuff. Traylor is a problem solver, and he eventually will. Their schedule gets a lot more forgiving later down the line as well. But right now they're at a crossroads, and it's not looking good for the Roadrunners.
Ian, you wrote a little bit about this morning, even the idea of a gimmick defense. What do you mean by that? What is it, and why would someone like Traylor employ that?
Well, I was a little harsh because I was mostly describing 3-high flyover defense, which I actually coined the term for, and I respect that defense a lot. But what I mean is like a defense that they would normally not play, a defense that they would never run out against a G5 opponent, not something that they would base their week to week strategy around, but something that's like, hey, we need something this week that just gives us a chance against Texas. Texas played that style of defense like 70-80% of the weeks in the Big 12 last year, and they got it from Rice and Wyoming because those teams are just trying to find any way to keep Texas's future NFL receivers in front of them and not just get blown out over the top. So if I'm UTSA and I'm looking at my secondary and how they've played so far and how they just played against Texas State, I'm not going to go and do my normal Jeff Traylor. We're going to stop the run and we're going to play man-to-man outside. I'm not doing that this week because I don't want to give up 70 points. I don't want to be on an Arch Manning YouTube video this week from an excited Texas fan. I want to keep them in front of me, try to keep the score down as much as possible, make Sark run clock, and get out of here with as respectable showing as possible. So that could be hard to do in 1 week, like installing a junk defense for 1 week and then executing it properly is not always that easy. But that's what I would do if I were Traylor, and I kind of think that's what he'll do. That's what Texas should expect.
Eric, I know that this week is, and I think I take this as a good thing. There's not a lot of team news. I mean, I think that's sometimes that portends a good position. But you just fill us in anything you may be hearing, and then I would love to hear. I know that you guys have experience with Coach Traylor, and I'd love to hear any insights or stories you may have.
Yeah, I think the team is everything I'm hearing says all the right things, very focused. But what we saw last year, Wyoming after Alabama, I can't lose sight of that. That there probably is going to be just a little human nature is going to take hold, and there will be a bit of a hangover. But yeah, everybody's focused. They're sharing the ball. A lot of people are playing. Everybody's excited. The young guys are excited to get playing time. Even in these high-profile games, we're seeing some of the freshmen playing. There's just a lot of excitement behind the scenes. They think that they started out the season the way they hoped to and expected to. Now they just got to keep going. They know that they came into the season with winning the national championship as the number one goal, and they feel like they're putting themselves in position. But they got to stay focused, and I think that's what they're doing right now. Hard practices, good practices. Sark said they need to have it's a leadership week as far as keeping guys focused and accountable. And I think that every time he talks about culture, he's pointing towards leadership weeks. Where they got the guys, Quinn Ewers taking the next step, Jake Majors, who's really coming into his own as a player. A lot of those guys, Chaff, Jade Barron, those leaders are also making a lot of plays. And I just think that the whole program is in the best place it's been in since the Mac Brown golden era.
What kind of experience have you had with Traylor? I know he was obviously at Texas for a period of time.
Yeah, so we were, Justin knows him better than I, but we were kind of on the leading edge of him. We knew that guy was going to be a really good college coach and a really good recruiter. And we had a lot of people say, "Well, you can't know if he's going to be a recruiter because he hasn't done it yet." Come on, man. How do you think Gilmer got players? We knew that he had all the traits. He's a master motivator, and we knew that he was going to appeal. A lot of recruiting is energy. A lot of it is not cockiness, but confidence, enthusiasm, and he has all that in spades. My best story is I was at my friend's 40th birthday, a friend of mine and Paul, in Austin years ago. I think it was a Thursday night. I remember because it was, it was a tough lift for us to get up to Austin to do a 40th birthday to this magnitude. But I met up with another friend that was with Traylor, and we were sitting down over I don't know how many vodka sodas or gin and tonics, whatever he was drinking. It was clear, mine was clear, and we were just talking about what he would do if he had the reins at Texas. Or if he was offensive coordinator or head coach. And he just sat there for at least a half hour drawing plays up on the napkins. And I saved those napkins. I have them tucked in the old Inside Texas magazine at my house because I knew that the guy was headed for big things. It was just a fun night. Just sitting there and the enthusiasm just while he was drawing up plays. He's not even known as being the most forward-thinking offensive mind or something. That's not really his thing. He's kind of a CEO, head coach. Like I said, a motivator. But he was going to town on these napkins, one after another, calling down the waitress, bring me another napkin, just, pens flying. It was just a good night. And, of course, the more drinks we had, the more enthusiasm was. And my wife and another friend's wife were just sitting over there waiting for us. And I'm like, hey, go do whatever you need to do. I'm here for a while. It was just a great time. Yeah, that was before I really knew a lot of these guys close. And so that's always going to stick with me.
What I love about that story is, given the amount of alcohol y'all drank, if you go back and look at those napkins, there's like 14 players on the offense. The defense has 9, and he's like, "Look, they can't even cover us. They can't even
It's
stop us."
unstoppable.
It's like in Lebowski, you hold it up and it's just a penis, you know.
He's like the John Nash, just of a beautiful mind, just sitting over there, just like trying to figure it all out.
14, yeah.
How, Justin, we'll get into the recruiting stuff here in a minute, but this is obviously whatever you feel comfortable with, but this has kind of been your guy. I mean, you also identified Traylor pretty quick as being a really influential coach in the state of Texas, and he has really done an amazing job in the recruiting world. Can you maybe let some people know, like, what is it about him specifically, especially at a school like UTSA, that makes him special as a recruiter, and what does he do really, really well?
Yeah, I met Jeff in 1999. My mentor and the guy I worked for in high school basketball was his roommate at SFA, and they were best friends. And so I got a lot of the Jeff Traylor story early and often, and we've been friends ever since. The thing that Jeff does is he brings this, Eric said it with the CEO thing. He just brings this energy every day. And it's a very passionate thing. Listen, he is going to coach you as hard as you've ever been coached. And he's going to love you even harder. And he feels like if he does that, if he loves you hard enough and he pulls for you and he pushes you, you're going to strive. No matter if you're competing, you're striving to get better. That's what competition is. And he convinces kids that he has their back and that no matter what happens, he will listen to his press conference after the Texas State loss. He will take everything on that burden and put all of it on himself, fully knowing that team is a lot different than it was 2 years ago. It's definitely a rebuilding year for these guys. Jeff just has this way of making kids run through a wall. There's something about him. If you go to a practice and you watch him, he's the one with the most energy and the most insight. And he's digging in when he was coaching tight ends at Texas, he was making references to East Texas rattlesnakes, Jaguars jumping on a lean. Like it was just, he just had this thing about him. And I've seen the players run through walls. And I'll tell you this, Ian, we talked about this on the IT Live earlier this morning. I have never in my life, especially in Texas, seen high school players call the head coach by their first name. They call him Jeff. They don't call him Coach Traylor there. I was sitting with Josh Walker in his office one day. Josh comes in and goes, "Hey, Jeff, I got to head out. I got a class. I got something I got to do." He's like, "All right, man, take off." I look at Josh and I go, "Why are you calling him Jeff?" He goes, "Because he wants us to." I said, "He told you to call him Jeff?" He goes, "No, he told him to he wants to be personable. He said you can call him jerk off if you want to. If you play hard and show up and kick ass, he doesn't care what you call him. He just wanted you to play hard, kick ass, and win." And so I'd never seen high school players call their head coach by their first name. But that's kind of how Jeff was. Very personable, very compassionate, very competitive. And I think we've seen that face over the last 3 days in press conferences. It's almost solemn. It's almost deflated because he knows his program's in transition and he knows Texas might be the best team in the country.
One of the things that defines Traylor and his system is the triangle of toughness, right? He established that way back as a high school coach, right, Justin?
Yeah.
And he has he's a skilled guy because it's a 3-sided object and he's managed to fit 8 traits. And the traits range from integrity, which is pretty broad, like live your life with integrity, with run the ball. Very specific, but also very broad, and it's a 3-sided object, and it's got dimension to it, and there's 8 traits in it. So yeah, I love that about him. But yeah, if you talk to players and Justin, you gave me a book. You recommended a book that I read about him that was written by, I guess, a former player or
one of my former. No, it was wrote by one of my former players when I was a basketball coach at White Oak. Okay. He's a professor at Ole Miss now.
Okay, so he wrote a book about Traylor in high school and at Gilmer and his incredible journey and kind of building that program up. And becoming sort of an East Texas coaching legend. And it had some great stories and anecdotes, and just Traylor's a maniac. But
he is a maniac. I was at a practice where he was MFing and SOBing every coach within ear's distance because they couldn't find a backup kicker. And all the news channels happened to be out there. KLTV is looking at me like, how much are we going to be able to use of this? And I was like, that's your problem. You've never been to a Jeff Traylor practice. Just because the regular kicker, I think he had band practice or he had something, a test he had to take. So they brought out the backup kicker. He missed 2 extra points. Jeff lost his mind. I mean, everybody, you screaming throughout the stadium. And it wasn't a hateful, vulgar. It was almost humorous to effect. That's how competitive Jeff is. If he can't find the backup kicker, then god dang, we ain't prepared. And if you're not prepared, you're not ready to win. And that is Jeff 101, 100%.
Yeah, the takeaway on that book for me was he's psychologically brilliant in manipulating these kids and coaches. And I mean manipulate in the best way.
Lead.
Kind of epitomizes
That's a word we can use.
Yeah, well, like, there's the old coaching adage of love up a loser and yell at the winners, right? So if your team's doing really well, create some fake drama that you're so upset about and they're complacent and get off the field. You're not ready to practice. Start running laps. And if your team's losing and they're losing, like playing hard, they're getting tough breaks, you love on them. You tell them how good they are, how confident, you are that they're going to rally. And Traylor seems to epitomize that. It's almost like a basketball coach mentality in some ways. It's kind of interesting.
Traylor was a basketball guy. Traylor's first job was coaching basketball. He played intramurals at SFA and would keep up with his own stats throughout the entire season and his team stats, knew points, averages, rebounds per game. They won a couple intramural championships. He will still bring that up. One of the most competitive human beings I have ever freaking met.
The one flaw that we've seen in Traylor has just been timing with trying to get one of the what would be the ideal job for him in the state? He should be coaching at
Arkansas right now.
I don't think he should go to Arkansas.
Well, he was going to.
Yeah, I mean,
they couldn't find the money to buy out Pittman.
You're going to get
I think he'd be really good at Baylor.
He would be great at Baylor.
Got that one.
A&M should have maybe hired him.
Texas fans were happy that they didn't. That Jeff Traylor, and I'm not saying Jeff Traylor would have been this great. He would have. Okay, Sark recruiting against Mike Elko. Sark doesn't even blink, guys. Come on, man. That's not even the same arena. You're recruiting against Jeff Traylor, buddy. You're on your toes with these in-state guys year in and year out. A&M did a big favor hiring Mike Elko.
With that basketball background, is that? This is not. I can't even put it up. I tried to put it up. I couldn't even do it.
There's the triangle, but it's turned.
It's just a triangle.
Are you trying to go Phil Jackson, Chicago Bulls?
Yeah, I was trying to figure out, is this even a John Wooden-esque pyramid of success situation?
So a pyramid is multidimensional. A triangle is flat. And because most people in East Texas have fallen victim to a pyramid scheme at some point in their lives,
it's multi-level marketing.
Use a pyramid. Go ahead.
Nobody gets bit with pyramid schemes like New Yorkers.
Oh, geez. It's multi-level marketing. Okay. And here's the day, guys. You don't even have to buy the product. That's what's beautiful about it, right? You just get 3 or 4 people under you to start selling it, and then you reap in the benefits. 2 words, guys, calling cards. We'll talk after the show. All right. So we've lost Nalene. He's got some stuff he's got to do. Oh, he's back for us. Great. Before we get into the picks real quick, I want to hear a quick word from our friend Laura Baker.
Hi, I want to tell you about Laura Baker. If you're looking for a new home in the 512 or even at this point, let's face it, 737 area code, there's only one number to call. That's Laura Baker at 512-784-0505. As a member of the elite Andy Allen team with Keller Williams, Laura has helped Longhorns find the home of their dreams in Central Texas. Just ask our resident sex symbol, Ian Boyd, who moved all the way from Michigan to Texas with Laura's help. Laura can help you find what you're looking for in the 512, the 737, or even parts of the 254 and the 210. Just, give her a call at 512-784-0505. Her email is in the description as well as the rest of her contact details. She's a friend. Give her a call.
Let's get to picks this week. This is going to be a let's call it what it is. Maybe the type of game that we saw in the first game of the season against Colorado State. Hopefully, we're seeing a lot of players. I think that would be a positive sign for Texas, seeing getting us into the depth of the roster. But let's just go around the room here, and we'll start with you, Eric. What are your predictions for the game? What do you hope to see? And then maybe give us a score.
Yeah, I hope to see Colin Page and Velton Gardner in the second half getting a lot of carries. Definitely want to see some more Arch magic. Just get these guys ready. Somebody made a good point about how, Garrett Gilbert, there was probably a good chance to get him into more games in 2009 and prepare him better for, in the event of an emergency. I'd love to see that with Arch. Everybody has full confidence in Arch, but, man, game reps, there's no substitute for him. I want to see them empty the bench. I want to see them whip the ball around and just keep this division of labor that they have where, there's such a limited sample size on this team, not only because of the only 2 games, but because there's not everybody, they're not getting a ton of snaps. I mean, there's everybody sharing the ball, sharing opportunity. I want to see that continue. I've got it 44-10. I don't think it's going to be the prettiest game of all time, but it's never going to be close. And I think it will be similar to Colorado State.
Ian, what are you hoping to see, and what do you see the score being?
The same, blowout, comfortable, lots of exciting snaps for young players, lots of UTSA trying to throw their way back into the game while Colin Simmons practices his moves against their tackles. Lots of Wingo and Arch. 56-6. I think Traylor will take a couple field goals and have something to nourish his team with on the drive home, and then practice the following week.
That's not very good. That's not very nourishing.
Oh my God.
I don't
sustenance there.
No
How do you
nourishment.
feed your kids, Ian? If that's
taking field goals instead of going for it on 4th down in the red zone.
Ian, you just said I see it similar to Eric, and then it sounds like you see it very dissimilar to
I see it similar to Eric. UTSA blows us out.
Right. Where do you see this going, Paul?
I got 45-10, so I guess I do see it similar to Eric. I think this is going to be a interesting game for Trey Moore and Colin Simmons. I think there's going to be an opportunity for that Greyhound package where they both play together. And if you're wondering who has the advantage when a guy faces his old team, when it's a pass rusher going against UTSA's tackles, who are basically guards, the advantage is to Trey Moore. And so that's going to be tough for them. And if you can get Trey and Colin sharing the field, not to mention Sorrell and Ethan Burke, they're not exactly chopped liver. I think you're going to see some pretty withering pressure on the UTSA quarterback. And then on offense, I want to see us integrate Jarrett Gibson a little more into the run game. Let's try to see if we can get him 10 or 12 carries.
Great. And take us home, Justin. how do you see this going with your boy?
Yeah, I don't see it in any form or fashion like Eric or Paul. I've got Texas up 45, UTSA 13. So I veered off a little bit on that one. I think I mentioned this a couple times during our YouTube shows. This needs to be the Jarrett Gibson show. If Jaden Blue gets 2 carries in the first 2 drives and then gets a juice box, that's a good day. I'd like to see some Wisner too, but really I want to see 20 carries out of Jarrett Gibson because he doesn't have the full gauntlet of the offense yet. He's still learning this thing every day. I think they need to add on to his package because it looks like he's going to be very valuable, especially in the red zone. I want to see heavy doses of some freshmen. Let's see Ryan Wingo targets. Let's see some more DeAndre Moore targets. And when Arch comes in, let's see him throw the pill around a little bit. I think Sark's going to call off the dogs at some point. I got Texas winning 45-13. UTSA is going to play a better game Saturday than they did last Saturday against Texas State. That's almost guaranteed. They just happen to play potentially the best team in the country.
That is your roundtable for this week. We appreciate you checking in. Tune in later today. We are going to have Inside the Program. That's going to be your final wrap up of the week with all the inside information that you're getting at InsideTexas.com. If you're new to us, please subscribe the YouTube channel, and join us at InsideTexas.com. We're running a promotion right now. You put in the promo code IT1. That's going to give you 2 months of content for $1 American dollar. We thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you at pregame an hour before the game.